Hello and welcome to Ask the Source. I'm your host Josh Reinstein, and we're here in a beautiful day in Jerusalem on our rooftop studio. My guest today is Nitsana Darshan-Leitner from the Shurat HaDin organization. Nitsana, thank you for being on the show.
Glad to be here.
Landmark victory in New York City. I think it was $655 million that the PA is now responsible for paying to terror victims. Can you tell our viewers a little bit about it?
Well, yeah, this is a lawsuit that was filed back then in 2004 on behalf of 10 families of terror victims that got killed or injured during the Intifada. And we asked the court to find the Palestinian Authority and the PLO responsible for this suicide bombings, the terror attacks that family got injured. And after 11 years, the case went to trial before a jury, took a month and a half. Jury came down with a decision, found the PA and the PLO guilty, responsible for these attacks.
You know, we're always hearing from the administration in America, at least, that Fatah and the PLO are the partners for peace. They're a peaceful organization. How does this change that kind of rhetoric?
In the eyes of the terror victims, they have never been partners for peace, or neither the PLO or the PA. We know that the PA and the PLO carried out the attacks during the Intifada and continue to support the terrorism until today. As a matter of fact, one of the factors before the jury was to consider whether the PA and the Palestinian Authority still responsible to incite for terrorism and to encourage terrorism and to support terrorism. And they found them guilty on this count. They found that the Palestinian Authority gives money to the prisoners, the terrorists, the one who drove the suicide bombers, the one that were involved with the terrorism. They gave them salary, they gave them money. Now, while they're sitting in the Israeli jails, they promote them in rank. They give compensations to the families of the suicide bombers, compensating them on a monthly basis. And this is one of the things that convinced the jury that the PA has to pay for supporting terrorism. So I don't know if they're our partner for peace.
You know, this was hailed as a landmark case. It was in international media all over the world. How is this going to affect future trials and future cases against the PA?
It was, as you said, a landmark decision. So we assume that a lot of courts are having similar cases against the Palestinian Authority or the PLO will follow the spirit of the judgment. You know, it's a federal court decision. It does not obligate any other courts outside of the United States. But it can be a decision like to bring a light and to direct the other courts how you should look at the cases, what evidence you should look for, and what type of compensation you should grant. Because we have to remember, this is a major decision also in terms of the amount awarded. $655 million is a large amount of money, and it's given only in cases of terrorism. The American courts, the federal courts, and other courts follow this road. They want to distinguish the horrible aspect of terror attack, and they say, we are disgusted by it, we want to punish the terror organizations, we want to bring it to an end, and this is why we're imposing such high penalty. And other courts should just watch and learn.
You know, the PA has already rejected the ruling and are saying they're not even going to pay. How likely is it that you'll see even $1 from them after this judgment?
You know what, I've been saying it all day long, and even after we won the judgment, but we are going to pursue this judgment. We have liens on assets that belong to the Palestinian Authority in the United States and Israel. In Israel, they get tax money that Israel collects, which we can put a lien on, and we did already in the past. We are going to pursue every dollar until the end of the payment. We did it before, we will do it again. The PA have money to pay the prisoners, to pay the families of the terrorists, to pay those who carried out the attacks. They have money to pay this judgment.
You know, something that seems absurd to me is that not only by court is the PA a terrorist organization, but anyone who just has eyes to see can see that they're promoting terror and carrying out terror. But now they're threatening to take Israel, the only democracy in the Middle East, to the International Court of Justice. How absurd is that?
This is absurd. This is an absurd, but unfortunately they have a good court to go to. The International Criminal Court already stated that they are waiting for the Palestinians to become members, and now when they become members, they can bring their cases in front of them. They want to go into the conflict between the Israeli and the Palestinians. They want to examine and investigate whether there were war crimes committed by Israel against the Palestinians, and maybe the opposite, although I didn't hear about the opposite yet. So in this sense, this judgment is a stone to go and show the court who are the real criminals during this conflict, that the Palestinian authorities and the PLO were the one who committed acts of terrorism, and terrorism is an international crime, and they should be indicted. And as a matter of fact, our organization, Shurat HaDin, already filed lawsuits against the leaders of the Palestinian Authority for being responsible for the acts in the Intifada in the International Court for War Crimes.
Nitsana, there are literally tens of millions of viewers watching this show. What message do you have for our viewing audience?
Support Israel. You have to support Israel. Israel today is in a critical situation. You know, the Obama administration is not the biggest ally so far for Israel, and they're already talking about canceling the veto that they usually impose in the votes in the Security Council. And we know that the Palestinian Authority's goal today is to become a state, not to negotiate for this position, but to go unilaterally, to go to the international institutes and to get their approval to become a state. One of their steps will be, as they did before, but they were denied so far, to go again to the Security Council in the UN to be recognized as a state. This is against the Oslo Accords. This is against all the peace agreements that Israel so far signed with the Palestinian Authority, and it has to be stopped. So what we need right now is a lot of allies, and I know that the viewers of this show have their heart in the right place to support us.
Thank you, Nitsana, for being on the show, and thank you for tuning in to Ask the Source. I'm your host, Josh Reinstein, wishing you a happy Israeli Independence Day. Now back to the studio.